Shutting it down, but I thought I'd turn on the camera just because I'm stuck in the truck. It's pouring outside and I don't want to get any more wet. But we came in today at 5 o'clock. We drove 100 and what is that? 120 miles exact. We did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 container movements. And hopefully we'll be out of here by, it's 2:27 right now, hopefully we'll be out of here by 3 o'clock. That's what I'm hoping for. But yeah, right now it's kind of wet out. I figure I'd just give it a minute, see what happens. So I was looking at my analytics over the weekend for the YouTube channel. It seems to be all right. I started this YouTube channel about 10 years ago. And the whole reason for it was just to challenge myself. You know, you get into your 60s like myself, you know, that's, you're getting old, right? And one of the things that they say when you get older is that you gotta continue to learn. Don't let the mind weaken, you know, just continue to teach yourself stuff. And so I thought that would be a real good challenge for me, because I hate, you know, technology. Cell phones, that's like the worst sound in the world when a cell phone rings. And and everybody's staring at their cell phones all the time. I'm not a real big technology person. I don't watch a lot of TV. I do watch way too much YouTube probably now, but I'll watch a movie now and then. But yeah, I prefer to do things, and so I thought I'd start a YouTube channel. As far as my story, I get that question quite a bit. You know, I'm here in Hawaii. People wonder, you know, am I from here? And that comes out when the pigeon comes out. And that's because I was born in Washington State in 1960. And when I was 5 years old, my mom met my stepdad, and we relocated from Washington State down to the U.S. Virgin Islands, which is a U.S. territory in the Caribbean, right next to Puerto Rico. And that's where I grew up. So I tell people I'm basically raised West Indian. You know, that's my mentality. Is I got a West Indian way of looking at things, for whatever that means. I lived there until I graduated from high school. I started college. I was working. I've been working since I was legally able to. I found out you can't work until you're 16. So I was ready to start working at 14 though. And so working saved me. Otherwise I would have gotten into way too much trouble. So I started working pretty much full time after school from the time I was in 10th grade, and graduated from high school, did a year of college from construction technology, and right out of high school my day was basically wake up at like 6 o'clock, be at the job site. We were building homes. These were homes that sit on the cliffside overlooking the ocean. And there was this contractor that we worked with. I worked with him for about a year and a half. So this right out of high school, I'm like 18, 19. And we're building homes, and then you get off at 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and then we'd run home, clean up, put on some slacks and a white shirt, and then run down to the ferry and catch the ferry over to Water Island and work as waiters at night. We get off from waiting tables around 11 o'clock at night, and then we'd go hang out. You know, we had this bar where we used to hang out, shoot pool all night. And then somewhere in the morning, we'd end up at the donut shop having donuts, and then we'd go home around, I don't know, 4 or 5, and wake up a couple hours later and go again. And you just go at it like that until your body just, you know, gives up on you, and then you end up not hanging out one night, getting caught up on your sleep. But that's kind of where I was at. And Hurricane David and Frederick came along when I was about 21 and kind of wiped out the islands pretty good. Destroyed the hotel that I worked for, Sugarbird. I was working for them and driving their ferry during the day at that point, because now I'm like 20, 21, and work waiting tables at night again, and doing charters on the side on the weekends. But the Hurricane David came along and wiped out the hotel. I mean, destroyed it. And they weren't going to rebuild it. And then a few weeks later, Hurricane Frederick came along and tore the roof right off the apartment complex I was living in. Just the whole roof just torn off. And so at that point, my mom and brother and sister were all living up in New York. And I didn't really want to hang out with my stepfather anymore, so I moved to New York in 1981. Yeah. Lived in New York for 7 years. Great education, streetwise education. Basically drove trucks the whole time I was there. I did a small, maybe 2 or 3 years of bicycle messengering inside Manhattan. But I hated the winter. I was used to tropical weather like we have here in Hawaii. In fact, I'm used to weather hotter than what we have here in Hawaii. So I started going back to the Caribbean, but I had a friend I went to high school with that I waited tables with, and he was here in Hawaii. He said, "Why don't you come out to Hawaii? You like Hawaii?" And so that's all I needed was an invitation and a couch to sleep on. And so I think in 83 was the first time I came to Hawaii. And then 84 I went back to the islands. 85 I came back to Hawaii. 86 I came back to Hawaii. Finally in 1987, I was 27 years old. I moved to Hawaii. I had like $700 and a new girlfriend, and moved here to Hawaii and set up shop. The first 10 years here in Hawaii, I drove tour buses. Did all the tours, and the first Gulf War came along and wiped out the tour industry for a little bit. Nobody wanted to fly, afraid of terrorism. And so I went across the street from the tour bus company. There was a garbage company, BFI, and I ended up driving garbage trucks for 7 years. I drove 2 years as a roll-off driver and then 5 years as a front-load driver. And that is probably the toughest job I've ever had in my life. It's hard on the body. You start early in the morning, 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. You get done 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And all you want to do is go home and go to sleep, because you got to wake up at, 2 or 3 o'clock the next day. But one of the great things about garbage is it's, they say it's always picking up. Meaning it's recession proof. Don't care what's going on, people want their garbage picked up. And there's always an opening at a garbage company. And so, worked about a 55 to 60 hour week the whole 7 years I was living there. The whole 7 years I was working there. And during that time, because I wasn't playing, I was just working, my nest egg got quite huge. Had somewhere in the neighborhood of $50,000 maybe. Had just sitting in the bank, waiting for me to do something with it. And that's where I met my wife, at the garbage company. Got married, and was tired of getting hurt. And so I was looking around just for something easy, because now I got this nest egg. And a friend of mine that I drove tour buses with was working here as a safety officer. He said, "Come over here, I'll help you get your tractor trailer license. Once you got that, you can go anywhere." And so that's what I did. I started up with DHX in 2002. drove straight trucks. All these trucks around us, I've driven most of these trucks. Box trucks, flatbeds. And after about 2.5 years of driving all the straight trucks, I went down and kind of self-taught myself and got my tractor trailer license. So I've been driving tractor trailers now for 23 years. Somewhere, no, 21 years as a tractor trailer driver. And it's all right. I mean, you're looking at 50 to 70,000 a year, depending on how hard you work, and pays the bills. Doesn't take a lot of know-how. I mean, I tell people, if you put your mind to it and spend 20 hours behind the wheel, you're ready to go take the test. After that, you're going to have at least a year of work where you're uncomfortable because, you know, you're driving the biggest thing on the street and you don't want to kill anybody, so you're stressed out all the time the first year you're driving. And a company like this, where we go into a lot of tight spots, you get good fast. And I'd say after about a year, you're a truck driver. But it takes about 5 years to become what I would call excellent, you know, a professional, not a professional, but an expert. About 5 years to be an expert. If you haven't been at it for 5 years, don't consider yourself an expert. There's a lot to learn. I'm still learning to this day after 20 years. I don't care about the trucks as far as the polishing and stuff. I'm not a real gearhead in the sense that, you know, I want a 500 horse engine, and my thing is whatever's running, I'll drive it. To me, that's a good driver. You know, a driver that can't drive a truck that doesn't have air conditioning is not a good driver. You know, he's soft. And that's just the way I was raised. I was raised tough. You know, I mean, I don't want to brag, but it's not bragging. It's like my brother and I, Kelly and I, when we were 14, 15, we didn't have video games. We didn't have an after-school program. We wanted to learn how to drive, and so we would steal cars. And I stole cars every night for years. Every night, stole cars just so I could drive them. Not to. We always took them back. In fact, we got caught 3 times simply because we always took the cars back after driving them. And so people ask me, "How'd you get that car started?" I go, "Oh, it's an old trick that I learned when I was 15." But yeah, that's how I was raised, you know. Now I'm at the end. I'm 65 this year. I'm not going to do this anymore. I want to do something else. I hope I can do something else, because you got to keep the mind going, right? So and this job does that. It keeps you fresh. But I think I want to try something else. So that's kind of how I started the YouTube channel 10 years ago. I was ready to stop 10 years ago, and my wife talked me out of it. But yeah, start a YouTube channel to try to learn stuff that you don't really understand. And I didn't want to be good at it. I just want to be able to do it. I didn't want to be a YouTuber. I just want to be able to have a YouTube channel, just kind of like, you know, Facebook. Some people are good at Facebook. So yeah, I did that. That's about how I got here. YouTube. I was planning to do some heavy traveling. That's why I wanted to learn the YouTube, so I can, you know, document my travels. I'll probably still do that, but I got to get better at it. So that's my challenge when I retire, is to get better at it. And just for my own pleasure. But anyway, that's kind of my story. It stopped raining. I can get out of here now. Thanks for watching today. Aloha.